A lot of people effed around and now they're finding out. And no group of people is going to find out more quickly than farmers because they're really going to get screwed. With the cutting of this USAID program, they're really going to get hit hard because what was that program or is that program that is not being operated as it's supposed to be because of Donald Trump giving complete control of the federal government to the billionaire who bought him, Elon Musk. Anyways, what was the purpose of that? The purpose was to provide humanitarian relief around the world. And a big part of that was providing food to desperate people around the world. And what we did through that program is purchase a lot of agricultural products produced by American farmers and then distribute those products around the world. Now that money is being withheld illegally, but it's being withheld. And farmers are not getting paid. And their products, their agricultural products, are no longer being purchased by the federal government. I saw a guy, you've probably seen this, it's gone viral, some MAGA farmer complaining about how all these contracts he had to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of agricultural products to the federal government, that's all being cut now. And he's out hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he specifically starts the video by saying he voted for Donald Trump. And he doesn't take that back, by the way. Apparently, he's still a Trump supporter. And then he goes on to explain how all of these contracts, all this money he was getting, was through the Inflation Reduction Act passed by Joe Biden. And so he's benefiting greatly from Joe Biden's policies. So what does he do? He votes for Donald Trump. Donald Trump promptly kills all of that. He's out hundreds of thousands of dollars, yet he can't bring himself to say that he made a mistake in voting for Donald Trump. The man is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he still can't admit that he made a mistake. These friggin' MAGAs, I'm sorry, I'm going to enjoy people like this guy losing everything. There's consequences for stupidity, and they're going to learn that.
I just watched a video of farmers in Arkansas having a big old gathering to figure out some way to make sure their crops make a profit this year. They don't know how they're going to make a profit. And I just want to say that I do not feel sorry for any farmers. Y'all decided to vote on racism and hate. So you're going to get to lay in the bed that you made for yourself. I don't want your children to go hungry now, but this is reaping what you sow. Reaping what you sow.
Thanks for clicking to watch today's video. So the MAGA farmers were warned time and time again, but they couldn't listen, and they were told that this would happen if they played politics with their own survival. Right now they are crying, they are saying they are bankrupt, like they have lost their markets and so on and so forth. And this is literally what happens when pride meets reality and the season of promises turns into the season of payback. So guys, let's listen into the compilation I have made for you. We do not own the rights of this video. They belong to the original owners of the video.
Soybean farmers in Arkansas are begging for help from the Trump administration. China has reserved exactly 0 of their crops for purchase behind Trump's unprovoked tariff war, and I'll give you 3 things about it. Thing number 1. Oh, now y'all want socialism. I get it. Handouts for white farmers, good. SNAP benefits for poor black kids, bad. After decades of subsidies that disproportionately went to white farmers, now you want the government to jump in and save you once again? I think it's time to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Thing number 2, your loss, JD Vance's gain. The couch cushion Casanova was an early investor in a startup called Acre Traders. They buy up fractional portions of U.S. farmland. This makes your vice president uniquely positioned to capitalize off of all these distressed farms. It's almost as if they have a vested interest in standing by and watching your farm fail. Thing number 3, where the fuck did all those red hats go? Y'all still them boys or nah? Out of all these images coming out of these farmer prayer sessions, I haven't seen one stitch of MAGA regalia. It's funny how all the merch disappears when he's not targeting immigrants and black folk. I guess the cult meeting got canceled when reality showed up. At the end of the day, this is the perfect case of reaping what you sow, but in this instance, the harvest is bitter. But what do you think? Should these farmers get bailed out, or should we just send our warmest thoughts and tariffs? Drop a comment, like, follow, and share. Click the link in my bio and find me on YouTube.
Hey, soybean, wheat, and sorghum farmers, do you like eating your product? I sure hope so, because remember when y'all were so happy that we were going to be America first and America only, and therefore we weren't going to be feeding all those people around the world because we were going to prioritize ourselves first? How do you feel now that so many American farmers are at risk for losing their farms because the U.S. government is no longer buying commodities from them in order to supply those food programs? And many of you didn't even know that the food grown right on your farm in the middle of nowhere was getting eaten by people in Africa and Asia because you sell to large grain elevators and commodity buyers. Not only did those programs make sure that fewer people in the world from not enough food, but they also stabilized prices by buying up surplus crops and created consistent demand that wasn't subject to the whims of global trade. See, when you produce too much of a crop or demand falls internationally or domestically for that crop, it's great to have an agency that comes in and buys up everything that you don't want to help people not starve, and in turn, you're not going to starve.
Well, it looks like Trump has finally pissed the farmers off. Let's get into it. The report is in. The U.S. farmers went from a $12 billion trade agreement with China to zero. His mass deportations have left the farmers with no workers, or hardly any. Then on top of that, his increase in tariffs made them lose one of their biggest buyers, which was China. Now China is going to Brazil and Africa. This is your wonderful president. A lot of farmers have had to file bankruptcy. A lot of farmers are losing their farms. Yet and still, we have the wonderful president sitting up in the Oval Office, signing. Take a listen to this farmer who did an interview explaining the struggle that they're having.
Disappearing profits are making it nearly impossible for them to break even, let alone to turn a profit. One of those farmers calls the president's tariffs, quote, the ice cream on top of a cake of a perfect storm. He joins us now, Arkansas farmer Scott Brown, who attended last week's town hall. Scott, really good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about what's happening with your farm.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around 12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
Zero?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa. Since we left with USAID, they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Are you getting 100% of everything else?
Yeah, if we got 100% of everything else, we would still only have half the Chinese business.
Well, what are you getting right now if you're not getting China? Are you getting every other market out there?
Or probably some other countries, and the market's pretty stifled. Most of our soybeans here go to the Mississippi River. It's the closest place to market them. They're going to go downriver and go overseas somewhere at some point. Beans are about 10.28 on the board today. We're going to get 40 cents behind that as a basis because the elevators are going to want to control their hedge. It's going to cost us 50 or 60 cents in a truck to get there, so we're getting in the low nines. And Purdue University will tell you it takes $12.03 to raise them.
Okay, so you farm
So we're
soybeans.
losing.
You farm 800
Yes, ma'am.
acres. You know, $0 coming from China. That's a problem. How are you going to pay your bills? Are you turning a profit? Are you breaking even?
I hope to break even this year. I farm so little, I farm by myself. My tractors are all paid for. They're old. They're 50 years old. My tractors were all made in the 70s. My combine was made in 1997. I cut a load of beans, put it in the truck, and haul it to the river myself. So I've got a lot less cost than most of these boys. I've got friends that farm 5 and 6 and 7,000 acres that have million.
This is why one great man said, it's not about black or white. It's the context of the person's character. And this is the character that you guys voted for. Donald Trump and his administration is causing the farmers to fail. Like, comment, share, and follow me for more controversial topics.
Well, the Democrats were right again, and it turns out the farmers of Iowa are completely shit out of luck, specifically because they voted for Trump, okay? Because his policies have double fucked them, okay? Starting with USAID. Now, you might say, why would USAID be connected to the farmers of Iowa? Well, turns out that USAID was one of their most reliable customers. We were spending up to $2 billion every year buying soybeans from them and then shipping them overseas to feed poor, starving children. Until our Christian president got in office and he said, "What? We are sending food overseas to feed hungry children? For Christ's sake, shut that down immediately." Well, in doing that, they have now taken away the second largest, most reliable customer for these soybean farmers in Iowa. Now, who is their number one customer? Well, it used to be China. And up until recently, they were buying 60% of our soybean exports out of America. But Daddy Trump came in and jacked up these tariffs, started a trade war with China, and now these soybean farmers have lost their number one customer. So now these soy boys are sitting on a Scrooge McDuck level of soybeans with absolutely nobody to sell them to. And that is why they are begging Daddy Trump for a bailout and for him to cut the shit with China so we can get rid of these tariffs. You know, it's amazing. Trump supporters put him in office hoping that he would just ruin the lives of all the people who they hated. But they didn't realize that Trump isn't on their team. He's on Team Billionaire, not on Team Farmer or Team Trucker or Team Everyday American. He only cares about rich people. Anyway, happy Sunday, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. Football is back. Hell yeah, very exciting for all of us who are still able to watch it, despite the fact that there are male cheerleaders now. Oh. Anyway, guys, I love you. I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon.
Friend, pick up the phone. So there was a farmers union event in Wisconsin, and a lot of them are in the find out stage of their support for the Dollar Tree dictator. They said, hold up. We thought we were exempt. We thought we voted for hate and racism, but just not when it affects us. You see, because we're struggling. Oh, now you're finding out. So let me break it down for you. Wisconsin and a lot of farms across the United States of embarrassment rely heavily on immigrant workers. Not only that, pair it with the USDA cuts. What else? They're cutting funding. Immigrants, even if they have temporary visas, are afraid to work because they think that ICE is going to come and pick them up from the farms. And then the farmers are like, wait, well, because we don't want to do that. That's not what we signed up for. And they're upset. And we said that he was a liar. He was a liar. One of the farmers at the Dairy Queen, it's not the Dairy Queen, one of the dairy farmers in Wisconsin said, this is not about politics. It's about survival. We can't milk cows without workers. Oh, really?
So initially, Trump had told them that he will make America first and that he will make America great again. But guess what? Right now, those farmers who are saying we were right, they are all shouting we were wrong, and some are saying that they regret their vote because they don't have markets to sell their crops. Others are crying they want bailouts from the government. The situation has really been a struggle to all of them. Those that were able to farm their lands right now, they can't even afford even to feed their families because of the hardships they are facing under the Trump policies. So let's continue to listen in.
U.S. farmers are regretting their vote for Donald Trump after their business suffers. Womp womp. Since China implemented their tariffs, farmers are suffering because soybean farmers, especially in the Midwest, are not being able to export as much as they're used to. I wonder why. Yet they voted for him anyway. They voted for him about 2 or 3 times, actually. I don't know how you thought voting for him would help you in your business when creating tariffs will probably hurt you, and he's said he's going to do this multiple times, but another example of Americans thinking that other parts of the world need them the most. Brazil is the #1 soybean import for China. They don't need the U.S. Brazil is steadily increasing the production year after year after year, while the U.S. has remained stagnant. And y'all thought Donald Trump getting in office will help y'all? You put somebody in office who directly hinders your business. I need these people to take a survey so I can understand why they make the decisions that they do. But again, womp womp. You put somebody in office because of reasons, and now you're paying the price because of those same reasons. You just thought they wouldn't affect you.
Through this without crying. My name is Louise, and me and my family own a wheat farm in Kansas. We are all certainly lifelong Republicans, and we were so happy to vote for Trump in all 3 of his elections. However, we were certainly not aware that he was going to put a funding freeze on all USAID. 100% of our wheat produce is bought by USAID and shipped out of the country. So our farm is completely bankrupt. We have no customer. We had this whole deal with the US government, and now that is just gone in a second. And we are completely decimated. USAID buys about $2 billion worth of American farmers' goods annually, and every single one of those farms is in the same boat as us now. It's a sinking boat. He didn't consider us at all when he made these decisions, and it would be impossible for any world leader to do something that could negatively affect us more.
Farmers across the country have started going on TV and complaining, 1, about Donald Trump's tariffs, 2, about the trade war with China, and 3, that they're not able to sell their products. Specifically, soybean farmers who are looking at losing $300 per acre of crops this year. So on a 1,000-acre soybean field, they're looking at losing $300,000. That's because China has not put in an order for soybeans in this quarter alone. They haven't put in an order of soybeans from American farmers since April, which means there's nothing being sold from the United States to China when it comes to soybeans. Where's China going? To Argentina, to Brazil. What's the United States doing? They're bailing out Argentina to the tune of $20 billion while ignoring farmers in the United States. And these farmers are now saying, we don't want a bailout. We need a trade deal. Because since Donald Trump's first term, our profits are down 50% because he keeps screwing with our trade to foreign countries. We need Donald Trump to actually uphold his promises and quit screwing around. We need him to stop telling us that he's going to give us back our money, the money we spent on tariffs. We need him to keep his word, to make a trade deal, and to quit screwing up our free markets.
Starting to say, I never thought that voting for Trump 3 times would result in me losing tens of thousands of dollars. A beekeeper out of North Carolina says, yeah, I proudly voted for Trump all 3 times. I flew flags for him and put signs for him in the yard. But now I'm out tens of thousands of dollars due to lost federal funding and tariffs, so I cannot export my products, my honey and my wax, to other countries like I could before, and nobody's buying it in the United States. Hay producers in Idaho and Utah that export alfalfa hay to China are now seeing 135% tariffs put on their product. And all of a sudden, they don't have anywhere to ship it. They held it all winter in hopes of sending it off to China in the spring. And now China's not willing to buy. Soybean producers are once again being hit harder than they were in the first Trump administration. And China, for its part, has diversified where it pulls these products from, with Brazil becoming the #1 soybean exporter and other countries picking up the slack for honey, for beeswax, and for hay around the world. Now, China's doing a great.
This farmer in Tennessee is finding out the hard way. Terry Holt is a cattle farmer in Moore County, Tennessee, and for the last 45 years, he's been picking up free cattle feed from the Jack Daniel's Distillery every day for free. It's a byproduct of whiskey making, and through their cow feeder program, Jack Daniel's handed it out to local farmers like Holt at no cost. It saved him tens of thousands of dollars a year for decades. Now, that program is ending. Jack Daniel's is sending its slop to a renewable energy plant instead. Holt got 3 years notice, but says, "All I know is that's gonna destroy us. No one is hearing our voice." No one is hearing our voice, says a man in one of the most heavily subsidized industries in the US, who's also been getting free cattle feed for the last 40 years. If you got 3 years to plan after 4 decades of extra profit, and you still didn't prepare, maybe your business shouldn't exist. The distillery's decision will affect the entire county. According to the most recent USDA data, 89% of the farms in Moore County are livestock operations. Well, hopefully you guys saved up, because it's not going to get any better for you with who's running the country right now.
Kansas farmers are publicly regretting voting for Donald Trump and wish they would have read Project 2025 now that Donald Trump's policies are directly affecting them, specifically the cuts to USAID funding, which would have been used to purchase farmers' goods. Listen to what the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union had to say about it.
There are a lot of people who are very concerned out there who voted for this administration, but you know, they wrote it all down in Project 2025. I guess we should have paid a little closer attention to what was in that.
Yeah, you probably should have. It's not as if people weren't warning you. It's not as if Kamala Harris went out every single day and warned Americans about Project 2025. But you believe the guy that can never tell the truth when he said, "I know nothing about it." And now you're suffering, but the worst part is we're all suffering. There's hungry people around the world that are being affected by that funding cut. So yes, welcome to the find out phase. We're all here. Have a seat. Grab yourself some ramen. It's the only thing that's cheap anymore. And enjoy.
Choices have consequences. You can't fight reality. You can't farm on pride. They played the game. They placed their bets. Now they are finding out. Welcome to the FAFO season. So guys, what do you think? Were they betrayed or did they betray themselves? I'd love to read your comments down there. So kindly comment, subscribe, share, and thank you so much for watching this video.